All right, we are back with Creating Madness Live. I'm Ethan Carboni, your co-host, along with John Sevlin, who is finally here with me on the live stream for the first time in I don't know how many months he's finally popped in on one of these. But he's back for our show. He's back for the live segment, which I love. John, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I can't talk that loudly since my dad's sleeping in another room, and I'm at my ranch. There's only one building with Wi-Fi, and it's not that good, but I'm making it work.
Yeah, so John's in a very interesting situation right now where instead of we're going to record this and do live at 6 in the morning, so now we're doing it at midnight. A lot of fun. Big time difference there. So, John, what do we have on the schedule for tonight?
Man, we have everything under the sun. We've got Big Ten news, Pac-12 news, games of the day/week, teams falling and rising. We've got Final Four sleepers. We've got Final Four dreamers. Everything you can ask for. It's been a really interesting week in college basketball. We've also had a few Game of the Year candidates, which I'm really excited to talk about.
All right, can we talk about the Big Ten first? Because I have a lot to say.
Yeah, get right into it. You're our Big Ten aficionado over here.
All right, so just going back to last Thursday, I think that we can all confidently say after Ohio State dropped it to Xavier, like I think we all knew they were, Ohio State was looking like frauds. And besides to go along with that, you have Xavier there. I know we're talking about the Big Ten, but Xavier's looking like they could compete for the Big East with Villanova. Scruggs looks incredible. Their bench with Nunji, Kunkel, and Odom all played phenomenal. Johnson played good. Xavier has a stellar lineup, and they don't even have Zach Freemantle.
Yeah, I was going to say, they don't even have Zach Freemantle. By the way, if you haven't seen that episode of our podcast, make sure you check that out. But yeah, Zach Fremantle's supposed to be their best player. They don't even have him. They just beat
not their best player, just their best scorer. Scruggs is the best overall player. I just think Fremantle's their best pure scorer.
I mean, some people think Fremantle's supposed to be the best player. He's supposed to have really big defensive impact this year. But the point is they don't have one of their big duo. And so this team, although they did beat a very poor Iowa State team today, they still have potential as a number 25 team to significantly rise once they get Freemantle. And I'm really excited to see what this team can do, especially when they get into Big East play against Villanova. You think you're there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. I just got to fix my computer battery because it was about to die.
Ooh, that's unfortunate.
Yep, but now we're all good. And moving into the next thing. Going into the season, Rutgers was supposed to be, what do you agree, mid to top, like probably anywhere from 10 to 5 in the Big Ten, like just in that range.
I mean, yeah, they were supposed to, Geo Baker and Ron Harper Jr. coming back after a second-round tournament appearance. They were supposed to make a lot of things happen, and it's just not has been that way this year. They have fell off a cliff, along with a few other teams in the Big Ten, which we could get into if we wanted to. But for the most part, Rutgers has just been horrible this season, to start at least.
And well, part of that would be losing to DePaul, 73-70. I get DePaul has Javon Freeman-Liberty, who has played absolutely lights-out ball this year. And I think he could be an early candidate for all Big East first team, maybe even player of the year if he keeps it up. But, like, Rutgers, you can.
Let's be real here. Like, we're losing to the worst team in the Big East. I get it that the Big East is a Power 6 conference, but the bottom of the Big East is just about as bad as it gets. And if you're losing to DePaul early in the season, midway through the season, late in the season, I don't care. That shows who you are as a team. If you're losing to a team like DePaul at any point in the season, you've got some serious problems you need to fix immediately. Not to mention, they did lose 2 key pieces from last season that no one is talking about. Miles Johnson went to UCLA, arguably one of the best rim protectors in the conference. I get it that he got dogged by Gonzaga, which we will talk about. But he's been really good for the Bruins this season. Jacob Young went to Oregon. He's been a guy that's been contributing. Again, Oregon, not after the best start at all, which we can't talk about. But these are 2 guys who really helped this team last year, and not having them is really showing how the role players on this team really made the team come alive. And Rutgers has been a disaster.
What else has been a disaster is the fact that Maryland barely beat Hofstra. Maryland should have lost to Hofstra even, being down at many points throughout the game, but eventually winning 69-67. And Maryland just...
Sorry, that's my cousin in the background. Leo, say hi and then leave. It's my cousin Leo. Scram.
Yeah. And before we get into like the good stuff, I just want to continue with the bad. Michigan has dropped too many games for a preseason top 10 team,
Oh yeah,
including.
most definitely.
And
Most
I
definitely.
understand. I think we can both agree. Arizona was severely underrated coming into this year.
I mean, Michigan should not have lost them though whatsoever. They should not have lost
And
them.
yet they lost by 18. Like
That was a really bad loss, especially in a big time tournament, the Roman Vegas Classic. They just couldn't get it done on the big stage.
I mean, it also doesn't help when you shoot 7% from three. It doesn't help when you get out assisted 23-8.
I didn't know it was 7. I thought we went over it. I thought it was. Oh my god, that's
7% from three. Yeah, one for 14.
And that was supposed to be one of their strengths because they've brought in 2 really good freshmen who haven't been playing well, and they're also keeping some guys who are supposed to really light it up from behind the arc, and they just can't get it done. I've been really disappointed in Caleb Houston's play. This is supposed to be a guy who's supposed to start, be a top 10 draft pick. All right, move on from me. Sorry.
Very good. And then just moving right into Arizona's team, you have Christian Coloco, who is just absolutely phenomenal center, who went off for 22.7 boards. And then you also have Matherin, who got 16 points. In this game, it was really just a game of Arizona's dominant pieces taking over and Michigan not being able to stop the Wildcats. Because if you're Michigan here, you need to come up with those stops, no matter the scenario. Whereas if you're Arizona, if I were to look at this game before, I would say Michigan by double digits. And we really just saw an absolute they just shot the bed. It's that simple. Also showing some love to Unwrapped. What's up? What's up, y'all? And then I think I don't want to talk about the last Big Ten just crapshoot, but I know we have to. First game with Kofi back. What does Illinois do? What does Illinois do with Kofi back in the first game ever?
Oh God.
This season. They lose. I get Cincinnati's underrated, but I don't give a crap. 71-51. This was a pathetic showing by the Illini. Trent Frazier, 0 for 9.
He has been having a interesting season.
He is having a good season, just he got injured in the last game too. It's just Curbelo.
Yeah, I know, he's been having an interesting season.
Curbelo,
it's been up and down.
5 turnovers that game. Curbelo he was not looking like at all like the player that we expected him to be as a top 10 potential point guard. He's not even looking like a top 50 Power 5 player at this rate. I think everyone that's an Illinois fan just really wants him to turn it around. It's just Illinois hasn't been getting it done. Yes, they just beat Kansas State, look good, whatever, but Illinois is really showing that the loss of Io is killing them, and killing is like an understatement.
Yeah, no, it's been really disappointing to see what the Illini could do. I didn't think, or at least me and Ethan thought, this team wasn't going to be the best without Io DeSumo. We understood that they have some guys who are going to step up at the guard position like Andre Curbelo and Trent Frazier, but when you're losing your floor general, we see it in teams like Colorado as well. Colorado's supposed to be a really good team this year, and they're really struggling as well without their floor general, McKinley Wright. When you lose a floor general like that for a lot of these college programs, it's really hard to recover unless you have another guy of that caliber at schools like Villanova and Duke. So I think that this team's really feeling the loss of their all-star point guard, and they might not recover at this rate if they keep on playing like this. But I want to talk about one more team for the Big Ten, just to rub this all a little bit more.
For a positive note?
No, negative note.
Negative note. Who are we moving into, John?
A team that you thought of really highly. Now, with some reason, but the Nebraska Cornhuskers, outside of their 5-star, they've been terrible. They've been flat out awful. Dropping a game to Western Illinois, almost getting upset multiple times, having arguably the worst upset of the year. I mean, this is a team that's been really struggling. Not even struggling. They've just been flat out terrible. Might be the worst team in the Big Ten. Because Northwestern has been playing decently. Penn State's been playing pretty bad. But they're in the running for the worst team in the Big Ten.
They really are. And that's such a
really weird to see, frankly.
I mean, they brought in so many guys. Alonzo Verge, Bryce McGowan. Do you expect more? And it really did look like Fred Hoiberg might have a chance to become the best coach in Nebraska history by getting their first ever tournament win this year. And yes, you heard that right.
It's not happening.
No, oh no! Unless they somehow manage to turn around in conference play, they are not getting that conference win or title or anything.
Bryce McGowan isn't playing very well though. He's living up to his 5-star potential for sure. He's definitely going to leave after the season because why the hell would you stay there? But he's been playing really well.
Indeed,
we got next up on the plate.
I was going to say, before we just completely say that right off the Big Ten, Purdue is looking like the only team as of right now that I could say could compete with Gonzaga. I'm not saying that
I don't know if compete with Gonzaga is the right way to put it, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's a stretch, but they beat UNC 93-84, a great game. Jaden Ivey is a phenomenal player, and
he is definitely tough.
He might be the best player in the Big Ten at this point in the season. He is the best player in the Big Ten.
Not to mention that he's not even part of the best 1-2 duo in the Big Ten, which you might be surprising by me saying that, but the combo of having either Travion Williams or Zach Edey on the floor at all times, no team can guard that. Outside of Gonzaga, no team can guard that. There's no way you can guard that. You've got two guys who are top 5 centers, and that might be a stretch, but you got two guys who are potentially top 5 centers in the game on the same team, playing at all times. So unless you have a front court like Gonzaga's or maybe Texas's, then you're not stopping that because who's going to guard either of those two the whole game? No one. So I think that the combination of having Jaden Ivey running the show, you got Stefa Sijovic. I don't know if I pronounced his last name right. He's a 3-point shooter. Like we've never seen before. Like Ryan Klein almost, if anybody gets that reference. He was on that team with Carson Edwards that went to the Elite Eight. You got Travion Williams, Zach Edey on the floor at all times. You got Isaiah Washington, who doesn't miss as the backup point guard. You've got all these guys, all this depth. This is a really good Purdue team. This is a team that's arguably top 3 in the country, according to me and Ethan. And they could live up to that potential in Big Ten play because they're looking really good to start the season.
I mean, after that UCLA loss, and after they beat Villanova too, Villanova, my only problem with them is that Jay Wright runs a rotation that
of 7 guys. Most.
No. It's a 6-man rotation with the 7th guy getting minutes if needed. If they absolutely need him.
He's really big on not playing freshmen, letting them develop and kind of learn their role. But I don't know if that's the right way to go because we saw last year with guys like Jermaine Samuels and Colin Gillespie going down as the end of the season, That might be because of all the wear and tear that they're experiencing playing 35-plus minutes a game. I mean, I don't know if I've seen Colin Gillespie play before. That guy's been on every single game I've watched. And I think I've watched 4 Villanova games. I mean, this is a team that has a lot of talent at the top, but if you don't have a bench at all, that's going to really hurt you towards the end of the season when you need all the energy you can have in March Madness. So teams with depth always do pretty well, and I don't know about Villanova. They look like a really good team right now, though. They have the least amount of turnovers in NCAA percentage-wise. They take really good shots. They play really good team defense. They're a really good team. I know that they've lost to UCLA and Purdue, but I still think they're a really good team. They're my favorite still to win the Big East, but they need to figure out how to incorporate more guys, as Ethan said. I think that's a really big problem that they have.
Right, and then still, for Purdue, they got every single one of their starters involved against Villanova.
That's very true.
They just used the wear and tear throughout the game. And like you said, Colin Gillespie didn't leave the floor for a single second that game with 40 minutes played.
Yeah, I think I was live tweeting that game, and I think I even made a tweet. You can confirm this, Ethan. I said that Villanova was up, I think, by 6 at half, and I said, you know what? Villanova looks like a better team right now, but playing 6 guys against a team like Purdue that has so many people coming at you like that, that's going to wear them down. And I predicted Purdue to win in the second half, and I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm saying that it's very easy to see that this Villanova team needs more guys. It's a really big problem. We really emphasize that because that's going to be a really big problem, not only now, but as we get into the season when guys are going to start getting injured, guys are going to start having slumps, and you need more guys to rely on. So I think that Jay Wright's going to really need to figure out. He's a good coach, but he needs to change that one thing.
All right, let's flip conferences right to the Pac-12. This is more of the Ethan and John take a dump on Oregon show right now. Because
oh God, where do I start? Where do I start?
I have no problem losing. All right, St. Mary's by 12. That's not the worst loss in the
That's
world.
not the worst.
It's just when you're ranked top 10 in the beginning of the year. That's pathetic. If you're Oregon, St. Mary's is competing for a tournament spot. We might see 3 teams from the West Coast Conference in the March Madness.
It's a very good conference.
It is. Them, St. Mary's, BYU, Gonzaga. I book it right now. Those 3 teams are making.
I don't know if I'm saying book it for St. Mary's yet, but I think that's a team that's definitely tournament caliber. You got Tommy Kuz, you got all those great guys returning. I think they returned 10 out of 12 people. They're going to be a team to watch for.
Then even off the bench, you still have Dan Fatu, who just absolutely killed it that game against Oregon. Mm-hmm. So, and then the next day, this is what I have a problem with. Houston just obliterates them. Like, they went duck hunting. They went down to their basement, plugged in their old Nintendo system, and put in duck hunt.
Marcus Sasser, good lord.
78-49.
That was a slaughter. I was watching that, and I just absolutely couldn't believe the horrible defensive play. Jacob Young, who we talked about, can't guard anyone. He's a great offensive player, and I think that's what Rutgers needed last year when Geo Baker and Ron Hubbard Jr. are struggling. But if you put him up against a guy like Marcus Sasser, he's going to score every single time. Not to mention Coach Sampson for Houston had a phenomenal game plan. He attacked Nathan Biddle. He was unplayable. Because if you tried to play him out, they would go right by you. And if he left you too much, you would get the 3 on whoever he had to switch on to with the ball screen. So, I think that he's not really playable. Quincy Guerrier, transfer from Syracuse, has been very subpar with the shooting. I think he's shooting in the 30s from his field goal percentage. I'm just really disappointed that this team was a top 10 team at one point and dropped 3 straight.
Agreed. And speaking of teams getting blown out, though, UCLA. I get it. Well, I know it's Gonzaga. I know, John. Before you go off on me, what the actual?
Now, to be fair, I'm not going to say this. I did not watch this game. I was doing something else.
I know you did.
So, Ethan, I want Ethan talk about your perspective. What did you see from a non-biased perspective? Because I know you get weird biases. What did you see from a non-biased perspective? Good things that UCLA did, bad things that UCLA did, good things that Gonzaga did, bad things that Gonzaga did, if Gonzaga did anything bad.
Well, I will say this. They did not chuck up a lot of stupid threes. They chucked up a few, but I'd say it's just more so they attack the paint, and you can't do that against Gonzaga. Jaime Vasquez.
That's just bread and butter getting to the rim. You have Chet Holmgren and Drew Timmy down there?
7 for 22.
Wow.
Terrible. That entire team shot 35% that game. 17% from 3. I'm sorry, UCLA, the only positive I'm going to have is that you're confident enough to take shots.
That's true. And I think this is in large part due to how well-rounded this Gonzaga team is, at least on defense. On offense, they also are. But on defense, you got guys like Andrew Nemhard and Hunter Salas, Nolan Hickman, Razir Bolden, guys who are going to lock you up on the perimeter. And if you somehow manage to get past them, you're running into 2 of the best big men in the country. And I think that's a better 1-2. I think they're the best 1-2 big man duo, even better than Trayvon Williams and Zach Edey. Just by a little bit, though. So you manage to get past some great guards on defense on the perimeter. You're running into a Chet Holmgren, who I think has a 7'3" wingspan, is about as quick as most small forwards, and Drew Timmy, who has one of the highest basketball IQs in all of college basketball this year. It's really hard to score on them. And that's why that's why UCLA is one of the most high-scoring, entertaining teams in all of college basketball, only at 63 to Gonzaga's 83.
And I just want to say Andrew Nemhard is the best point guard in college basketball.
Let's not get carried away.
Has he not been playing like it? He's the best overall point guard. Who's better, John? Nail him.
I think that it might be too early to tell. Got Ochai Agbaji from Kansas. He's been killing it. Got Jaden Ivey from Purdue we were just talking about. I think he's also Colin Gillespie.
Ivey's not a point guard.
He averages most assists on the team. He takes the ball up. He runs all the plays. He's listed as a combo guard, but I think he's a point guard. personally. And we had him as a point guard in our list, our preseason list. So
all right, that's fair.
I would say I would give him the nod, and Colin Gillespie as well. Colin Gillespie is a phenomenal point guard. But Andrew Nembhard is a top 5 point guard. That's definitely for sure. And you got top 5 point guard, 2 top 5 big men again, which is really weird to think about that 4 of the top 5 big men in the country go to 2 schools. But yeah, anyway, it's just they're a phenomenal team. They're the best team in college basketball. If anyone was wondering, there's not a debate. There's not an inquiry. There is no discussion right now. That is the best team in college basketball. For sure. I would love to hear what anyone else's opinions are because they're not good ones.
Yeah, if you want to give your opinion, tweet us at _ATR Madness on Twitter. I'd love to hear your opinions.
Yeah, please. I mean, I would love to hear your opinions because I would love to hear anyone else make the argument for any other team. But there's a lot to be said. I mean, there's not a lot to be said. Sorry, Gonzaga is that team. But Ethan, what else do we have?
I was actually going to ask you, what is another favorite game of yours?
I watched the UConn-Auburn game today, and good Lord, that was amazing. I think these are 2 really good teams. And despite there are some early season struggles from both of them, I saw a few guys on each team that are going to be really, really good this year. Now, to be fair, for a large part of the game, UConn did not have one of their top 3 players in Tyrese Martin. I don't know what his deal was. I honestly don't know why he wasn't playing in the game. I don't know whether there's injuries or something.
He fouled out. He fouled out.
He fouled out. Really? Okay, he fouled out. So he fouled out earlier in the game. I caught the second half, so I didn't see that he fouled out. So he still poured in 13 points. He had a good game, but for the most part, we saw RJ Cole step up as a great point guard. He had 25. Adama Sanogo looks like one of the best big men in college basketball. He's probably solidified himself as a top 15, maybe even top 10 big men. He had 30 points today. And the thing about UConn is they have a lot of very good role players. They have 7 guys who they reliably play, who defend, hustle, and can shoot at all times. And I think this is another dangerous team in the Big East. I don't know if they have the caliber to win it with teams like Villanova and Xavier in there. But this is definitely a team to watch out for in the tournament because they have very good guard play and they have a guy that can get it done down low in Adama Sanogo. And he played in double overtime as a big man, didn't even foul out, which is really impressive considering the fact that he also poured in 5 blocks along with 30 points. So this is a very well-rounded UConn team. But the team that beat the Auburn Tigers, I thought they were a little overrated. And I think they're a little overrated for a few reasons. But they also have some guys who can really get it done. Their freshman, Jabari Smith. Let's start off with him. He had a great game. He had over 20 points this game, made some very clutch shots, kept them in the game. He didn't have the best performance in the double overtime part of the game. He took some bad shots, but to expect a freshman to be perfect through 50 minutes of play is a little hard to ask for unless we're talking about a star level freshman. He's very good, but I wouldn't say he's like Zion or anything like that. But he still had a really good game. He contributed both on the offensive and defensive end. It was also really nice to see from a freshman. He was guarding RJ Cole on switching screens for a lot of part of the game. He also switched on Adama Sanogo and did a pretty solid job of keeping him from getting points in the paint. And I was really impressed by the performance from the freshman. But actually, the guy I was most impressed with on, Auburn, sorry, I have a little bit of throat problem right now, was KD Johnson. That guy is a dog. He might have the best hustle in all college basketball from what I've seen so far. He was getting loose balls, steals, diving on the floor, playing some phenomenal defense, and to add it all in, he had over 30 points. He was the best player on the floor in my eyes. Because not only what he did on the perimeter on defense, but he was creating so many shots on offense, getting these crazy layups, hitting big-time threes. I mean, he's the guy that you really want on your team and don't really want to play against. KD Johnson's a guy to watch out for. Georgia transfer, and he's going to be really good for this Auburn Tigers team.
Agreed. And I just want to say there's so many phenomenal teams this year
that's very true.
That aren't even limited to high major level, Power 6 level.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
I'm thinking that I know I mentioned the West Coast Conference earlier, but I don't want to talk about St. Mary's or Gonzaga. I think BYU. Could be a potential mid-major that could make a Loyola Chicago-esque run into the Final Four.
That's a bold statement.
I think Alex Barcel is a first-round pick worthy player.
That's
I
very true.
think he's proved it this entire year. I believe BYU is undefeated. I'm going to double check that right now.
I know they beat the living crap out of Oregon, which we didn't talk about.
They
Because we were
beat
going to move on
Cleveland
to
State.
this, but
They beat San Diego State. They beat the living crap out of Oregon. They beat Central Methodist. They beat Texas Southern. Yeah, no, their next real test would be Saturday against Utah. And then they also have Utah State Creighton throughout the December schedule. But as of right now, BYU is playing absolutely phenomenal. You have let me just correct myself. It's Alex Barcel playing absolutely phenomenal. The rest of his team is a bunch of role players that just fit together and know what the hell they're supposed to do.
Smart team. They have a very smart team.
They get the rebounds when they need to. They get their assists. They get their steals. They get their blocks. They get in front of their guys on defense. They get to the rim. They get their easy buckets, and they will make their threes when they need to.
I'm not comparing Alex Barcel to Allen Iverson, and if we're saying that incorrectly, please correct us because I don't want to say that wrong. But he's kind of in an Allen Iverson situation where he's taking a lot of shots on the offensive end, and although he's a good defender, he's not their defensive leader or anything like that. But his job is to really not necessarily carry that team on offense, but his job is to make a lot of tough shots and get a lot of points, which he's doing very well. He's shooting very efficiently. I think he hasn't had a game this whole season where he's gotten under 20 points, which is really impressive from a college player. And I've been really impressed with his performance this year. He stepped up in big games against Oregon. He's contributed very nicely in games like Central Methodist. And I'm really excited to see what he does against Utah and Utah State and Creighton because these are three very, very good teams that they're going to have tests for later in the non-regular season play. I don't know how you would say that properly, but later in the preseason is how you would say that. But I'm really excited to see what they have. But so far, he's looked phenomenal.
All right, John, I have a question before I dive right into this next one. Who is the best mid-major? We're not going to count Gonzaga. Middle finger to Gonzaga. Get out of here. You don't even belong in college basketball.
Does Houston count?
Yeah, I guess you could say Houston counts.
I would say right now it's between Houston, BYU, and the next team we're about to talk about.
St. Bonaventure.
St. Bonaventure, yep.
They are 5-0, coming off of some very nice wins. Siena, Boise State, Clemson, Marquette. Marquette beat Illinois. They were like on a hot streak, and then they just run right into St. Bonaventure.
And before you cover that game, I want to quickly talk about how the fact that they're playing very well without their floor general from last year, Bones Highland, who was a second-round draft pick and is currently playing with the Nuggets. You know, as we were talking about earlier, it's really hard for a lot of these college programs, especially teams that aren't blue bloods, to recover from losing a guy like that. But it seems like they're doing a very nice job with Bones, and they've been playing phenomenally. Beat Marquette, which Ethan's about to cover, and they're a top major team in my eyes.
I mean, yeah, Jaron Holmes, Kyle Lofton have been the two names to watch, both averaging 17 points a game. They are playing absolute phenomenal basketball. And in that game against Marquette, you just had Holmes killing it, having a game high of points with 19, 13 rebounds, and 4 assists throughout the game, as well as 2 blocks.
Did I leave?
Yes, you did, John.
I think I accidentally hit the restart button when I was trying to check my phone battery. That's my bad. But we're back now.
Yeah. So overall, St. Bonaventure, and then their upcoming schedule, they have a tough schedule coming up. Because you got UNI, which they have not played to the level that we would have wanted them to.
Ethan, I mean, to be fair, Ethan and I really hyped them up. But
yeah, but then right after that, they have a bum team, Kappa State, whatever. Buffalo.
Buffalo's a good team this year. Not top 3 or top 10, but they're a team to watch out for in the MAC.
Few games later, UConn, Virginia Tech.
Ooh, that's a good slate. I'm really excited to see what VCU. I mean, not VCU.
Virginia Tech's the best defensive Power 6 team.
Kiva Luma.
Them and UConn both.
I wouldn't say. I mean, Gonzaga. They're Power 6. They're Power 6.
They're not Power 6. Gonzaga's in their own level.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not placing them above or below. It's just they're like
exactly. They're their own entity. I would say that's fair. By the way, if you're watching this or if you watch the stream highlights, which will be posted to our YouTube channel, please check that out at Creating Madness on YouTube. How should as a fan, approach Gonzaga? Are they mid-major? Are they on their own tier? Are they Power 6? Should they be in the Pac-12? Can they be in the Pac-12 because of football money, which Gonzaga doesn't have a football team? There's a lot of questions with them. How would you address all of those? Please tweet us, respond to us in the comments. We're gonna have a stream highlight about this. I'm really curious because there's a lot of different answers. People have a lot of different really good takes. So I'm just curious.
I just want to see Gonzaga move. I think the West Coast. I think I was a huge advocate, but I heard an argument. I'm like, it is good for them because
it is really good for the West Coast.
We are seeing them play we're seeing them play the number 2 team. We're seeing them play top 10 teams in their non-conference schedule early in the year. Dysfunctional teams still learning each other, and they're still beating up on them.
Right,
if you're Gonzaga and you can do this then, late postseason, midseason play, they're still going to do it. They might drop the occasional game like they do in their conference, but this is Gonzaga. They're going to win wherever they go.
And let's be really real here. We're not talking about like the Gonzaga is playing against the SWAC every year. They're playing against a few teams every year, like in St. Mary's and BYU and even the occasional Loyola Marymount, who are really good programs in their own. They just have to get obliterated by these usually phenomenal Gonzaga teams. So, yeah, some of their games are easy when they play against Pepperdine and Portland. But when you're talking about like consistently playing at teams like St. Mary's and BYU and Loyola Marymount, it's not a walk in the park here. I mean, they've dropped a few games. I remember in the conference championship a few years ago, they dropped a game with St. Mary's. They have a rivalry against St. Mary's. BYU's obviously has some really good teams, and Jimmer Fredette killed it in college basketball. Loyola Marymount in the 90s was a phenomenal program. So, yeah, it's not the level of competition they should be playing against, but let's not act like they're playing against little kids at the park. They have some decent competition every year.
True, but I think we would all not mind seeing them have to play that UCLA team twice a year.
It's true. Yeah. That's very true.
Because I think we want to see a revenge game, which it really might have to be UCLA taking more threes if that's the case.
I mean,
they only shot.
We already covered that, but god dang, it's just hard to shoot against Gonzaga.
What do you say? I love how John volunteers me. Like we're expecting this to be a hell of a game. John volunteers me in a live tweet. We're gonna see that game. I volunteered to write an article for a website, CBB Review. SMU, Oregon. Oregon destroys them. Anytime I volunteer or get volunteered to cover something, yeah, SMU got crapped on, John.
I know. I was just wearing the shirt because it was cool.
Yeah, no. So just looking at that, anytime just stop volunteering me to do games. I'm gonna start just choosing randomly, and we might get some good coverage.
I'm gonna be gone for a second. I have to get a phone charger, but Ethan, just pick a topic with me real quick, so you can just fly. Would you want to talk about Illinois, maybe?
No, I'm done with Illinois. I cannot. I'm not going to go on a 10-minute long rant on what the hell needs to happen because I'm not even sure. They have incredible players coming in. Coaching's not working, but that's a debate for another time.
Pick a game that you've been really impressed by, that you had a lot of fun watching. You talk about that while I go get a phone charger.
Sounds good, because I'm thinking that Ohio State-Florida game. Get out of here, John.
Buzzer beater. I'm going to miss a good conversation, but I got to get a phone charger.
Yeah. So that game, like John said, that was a hell of a game. Ending on a buzzer beater win by Florida with Tyree Appleby making that, but the entire story of the game was just for Ohio State, Kyle Young off the bench to help out EJ Liddell, because EJ Liddell just completely carries this Ohio State team. There is no other way to explain it besides 23 points, 5 blocks. That's the only thing they're getting from their starters. The rest of their starters aren't shooting too much. The rest of their starters aren't getting much done, at all. This is the Buckeyes team that just doesn't do much. Whereas for Florida, starters also didn't do much with the exception of Colin Castleton, who always is just such a beast on the rebounds, such a beast getting the ball off the glass, blocking, defending shots. He had a tough time with Liddell, but that's expected. You also have Tyree Appleby, shot absolutely hot garbage, 2 for 10 on the day. One of those buckets were made, obviously, for the game-winning 3. Good for him, but the huge story was just Philandris Fleming off the bench with 19 as a senior. And then you also have C.J. Felder with 10 points. Florida won this game because of their bench. It was a dogfight until the end, but Florida just needs to. If you're Florida, you need to put the nail in the coffin of Ohio State a lot sooner. Ohio State has been one of the most overrated teams heading into the year. This is E.J. Liddell and E.J. Liddell only for the Buckeyes. Maybe it'll change. Maybe someone will step up. But Jabari Wheeler has not stepped up to me. Brenham has not stepped up to me. Brunk has not stepped up to me. Michi Johnson has been hot garbage too. I loved him. I thought Ohio State was a perfect fit. But he's just not getting the looks he needs to. He's going to have to start. Hopefully next year will be his year, to be honest, because if you're Michi Johnson, you just need something to go your way. Zed Key off the bench for Ohio State. This entire Ohio State Buckeyes team has been absolutely terrible. With, again, the exception of E.J. Liddell. And for the Gators, I think Colin Castleton is probably going to be SEC Defensive Player of the Year in me and John's eyes. You see, he's just been absolutely killing it. Him, Oscar Tshiebwe. I just want to see those two go up and see who will get more rebounds in that game. When Kentucky and Florida play each other,
sorry about that.
When Kentucky and Florida play each other, that's going to probably be my favorite game on the SEC schedule. Because I just want to see Colin Castleton and Oscar Tshiebwe go up and see. I wanted to see who gets more rebounds.
Now, to be very fair, in terms of the best SEC matchup, Arkansas, Alabama, Kentucky, Florida, any matchup between those four teams, that's a good matchup.
True, but I just want to see dominant Oscar Tshiebwe, dominant Colin Castleton. Who gets more boards?
That's valid.
I just think that'll be so much fun to watch. And as for Ohio State, like I said, again, E.J. Liddell show and no one else.
Didn't Michi Johnson hit a really big shot that game? I didn't even get a buzzer beater. That was
that one of 7, but huge.
Didn't Michi hit a shot to seal the game though? One game.
Yes, he did, but this is Ohio State.
It's Michi, 5-star baby, Dickie B. Can we talk about Dickie B for a sec?
Yeah, I'm so happy he's back. I'm so happy he was back. I think that brought tears to everyone's eyes.
I mean, we already kind of talked about the Gonzaga-UCLA game, but I thought his commentary from the highlights was pretty good. His highlight commentary seemed pretty good. I'm just really happy I don't know whether he beat cancer fully yet, but the fact that he's still in the booth and he's huffing and puffing and he's getting all excited and he's Dickie B is really exciting to see. It's really heartwarming.
It really is. You're 82 years old and you're still doing your dream job. Like he could have retired years ago.
He retired 30 years ago. And he could have been.
He loves this job, and you just love to see people that do their job with that much passion.
Coming out of the ER to just go commentate the best game of the year. That's hype. That gets you hype as a CBB fan.
I just wish it was a better game for him to commentate.
That's true. If he could have commentated the UConn game, he probably would have been back in the ER with a heart attack.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I heard you over talking about the Ohio State-Florida game. I didn't watch that game again. I've been super busy at my ranch doing ranch work. It's been interesting. But E.J. Johnson not having a good game. E.J. Liddell. Did you talk about E.J. Liddell?
Yeah, he's the only notable player on Ohio State.
He's been killing it this year, but they're going to need the rest of their players in the team to step up, especially at the point guard position. And Florida, that's outside of the shot that UC Riverside hit to beat Arizona State. That's shot of the year. Easy shot of the year. So I saw the highlights in that game. That was insane. I really love seeing that.
Yep. And John, I think that's wrapping up. I think that we don't have much more to talk about tonight.
Really? That was an awesome stream. I really had fun doing that. And again, if you're still watching this, I can't make streams because of basketball. I usually live in Massachusetts. I'm currently down in Texas until Monday because I used to live here. But I'm going to be entering my season. So we're still streaming on Wednesdays. You won't be seeing me for a few months, but it's been really fun.
I'm going to switch up the day for you. I'm going to switch up the day.
Okay. Well, if we're still streaming on Wednesdays, if we don't get this switched up, then that's the last you'll be seeing me. But hopefully you can still see me if we're switching around the dates. But I had a great stream. I really did. That was really fun. College basketball has been awesome for this week. It's been really awesome.
Yep. All right, John, I'm signing off. You can see our ats below us. Check out at ATR Madness on Twitter. And good night, y'all.